And we have turned. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. That was Lame Genie, of course, doing a cover of, just in general terms, the soundtrack for the Friday the 13th game for the a game which I attempted to stream several years ago, and it went poorly. That game is very difficult. One day, maybe I'll go back to it and try it again. Who knows? And welcome to you, Rolls. Welcome back to the stream. Hopefully you're having a lovely day as well. But yes, I have returned. Today is not going to be a Sunday day, though it is indeed Sunday, mainly because I could not quite be bothered to set up the thing, if I'm being honest, because I have to hook whatever system I'm going to use to the scaler, deal with all that. I think it should be fine, but I don't know, I'm still of a mind that I want to try to fix that up a little bit. So we're going to do something a little bit different, but before we do that, I'm going to point out, well, that cat. I'm going to point that out again. I feel like I do this every time she's lying on that chair back there. Let's bug her. Now that I've done that, it's very important, I should have done that. Yes, another of my... Oh, for a minute I thought she actually jumped off the chair. She did not. I mean, yeah, you gotta boop the cat. If you don't boop the cat, what's the point of having a cat? At least that's the way I look at it. But yeah, anyway, one of my Christmas gifts actually arrived somewhat late, but I do have another Christmas gift. And that is... this thing. Now you may think to yourself, what is this? What is this Motorhead-themed briefcase? It's not actually a briefcase, though it is the size of one. It is a... mini record player. So yeah, I've never, well, it's been a long time since I've actually used a record player. My parents had one, and it's not like an old one. It was one they got back in, I think, the late 2000s or early 2010s or something. You know, back when it was really starting to kind of steamroll in that people were getting into vinyl again. So, yeah, so I'm not as, what's the word I'm looking for here? Mystified about the usage of a record player, as I'm sure a lot of people might be these days. But yeah, so I needed a new Motorhead shirt anyway, because all the other ones I had are starting to fall apart because I've worn them so much. And they had that on sale on their website. Plus this. It's the 40th anniversary edition of their Another Perfect Day album. Now, granted, it's been more than 40 years since it was released. This was released in 2023 because Another Perfect Day came out in 1983. But it's a neat record, if for no other reason than look at the fancy golden colors. Ooh, tiny. But I have to say, I'm much pleased with the thing. It's hilarious because, I mean, it's got some pretty decent speakers on it on its own, you know, its own right. But at the same time, it also has Bluetooth functionality, which is a hilarious thing for a record player to have. So I could I can set that up to. We've got a sound bar back over there by the TV. I can set it up to these headphones if I wanted to, you know. So anyway, something I did yesterday was I went to the local record store, Fred's Records, great place, been there forever, and I found a couple other things. One, of course, being Bad As Me by Tom Waits, which is a pretty great album, although honestly, I didn't actually know any more than 2 of the songs on this one before. No, 3. Yeah, because the title track, Satisfied, and Hell Broke Loose are all songs I've heard before, but the rest of them I wasn't familiar with. But I like Tom Waits, so I picked that one up. I got the original Motorhead album. They had some Motorhead there, and I figured, hey, this is a good one to get as well. I love that the price tags are still on some of these, but hey, whatever. And a local fellow named Mark Bragg. He had a record that this is one that was put out back in 2018, I think. I don't know that I've actually listened to any of his stuff on this, but I might have, because I've seen Mark play live a few times. I also think I've drank with him a few times. He often plays in a bar I used to go to frequently, so, you know. But anyway, so far I'm loving it. And also, it's also kind of a, oh shit, what am I doing thing, because that's another large piece of physical media that I'm going to start collecting now that I need to find room for. And that actually segues perfectly into the next thing I was going to mention, which is that I also, last time I was out home, which was over Christmas, I actually had the ability, because we rented a car to go out there, to bring in a lot of the shit that was out there. I mean, you know, there was all the stuff I got for Christmas, certainly, not that it was anything overly huge, but there were a pile of CDs and video games in my parents' basement, and that's stuff that, because me and my brother have, well, honestly, one of my other brothers started this, because he bought the NES, and he got the Super Nintendo, and he started getting those games. And then me and my other brother, starting from the 90s on, started buying games ourselves, and we have a massive collection of video games. I have been slowly bringing some of them in as I've been going out home and coming back. You know, as I've shown. A lot of PlayStation and PS2 games, because holy shit, we had way more PS2 games than I thought we did. And to that end, I, just so I can actually keep track of what I have in the house, have been making a list. And now, the stupid thing, you would assume that it'd be much more economical, much more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Expedient. There we go. Maybe we'll go expedient. To make a list like this in a spreadsheet or something. It's like, no. I had to do it the old school way. I have a binder. I have this lovely pink binder right here. Why a pink binder? I don't know. It was the first one I grabbed, and it's actually a really nice binder. It's very sturdy. And pink's a great color. What the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, so I have started making a physical hard copy list of all the games that are in the house. I might expand this to movies, CDs, and books eventually, but for now, it's games. And I've also started listing them as what I have physically, what I have digitally, if I've finished them or not, and if I've streamed them or not. So I've got a list here for the Switch. More fool I started making a list for the PC, starting with the games I have on Steam. I'm actually going to even track what platform I have them on. The PC list, and this is just ones I've been going through my Steam list, because I've been going through the Steam list, because there's a thing you can go into your account settings in Steam that it can show your purchase history, and that way you can see what order you've bought your games in, and that's what I've been doing. This list is already 6 pages long. I don't think I've gotten to 2018 yet. Oh god, help me. I mean, the PS2 list alone is 2 pages long. PS1 list, not so long. And of course, I haven't even gotten there. So anyway, but yeah, the PS2 list is about 2.5 pages long at this point. I know there's still more games out there I haven't brought in, and I do know that there are more I'm going to probably get via used game stores and stuff. But anyway, what this means is that I actually have a, rather than just looking it up on YouTube or posting them, I have a distinct list showing which games I have streamed and which games I have not, because that's one of the records I'm keeping track of. So, this also leads me to my next point, which is another thing that I've been, well, I said I was going to do this last year, and it never happened. But this year, maybe I'm fucking lying to myself again, but this year, I am going to attempt to actually finish more games, because as I've been going through this list, marking off which ones I've finished, very few of them are games I've just, concretely finished. Some of them you can't finish, which is why in that category I write a not applicable symbol for each of them, because, I mean, you can't technically finish Stardew Valley. You can't technically finish Project Zomboid. You can't technically finish Death Road to Canada is another one. I mean, yes, you can complete all the challenges and stuff, but if it's all a run-based thing or what, you simply cannot finish them. Kenshi, that's another good example. A lot of grand strategy games like Civ and Endless Legend, these are other games I have. You can't finish those either. Now, the silly thing is, you would assume that if I'm trying to actually finish things, I would carry on with one of the games I have started in the past year or two that I have not finished, like Yakuza or Horus or Always Awakening or something like that, or going back to Legend of Dragoon, though I'll explain why I'm doing that today. No, apparently what I'm doing is I'm going back to one of the oldest games I bought on Steam. Not the oldest, because some of the oldest games I bought on Steam are ones that are either very long or cannot actually be finished. Like, for example, the very first two games I bought on Steam ever back in early 2011, Garry's Mod and Team Fortress 2. There's a lot you can do with both of those games, but finishing them is not a thing you can do. There is no completion state. And then after that, we get Command & Conquer Red Alert 3, which I do need to get to at some point. Morrowind, which I do want to stream at some point, but I never finished streaming Oblivion, and Morrowind's going to be another kettle of fish. So I went through these, and one of the first ones I came across that I'm actually interested in playing at the moment, that can be finished within, I'd say, about 10 to 12 hours, is Bastion. So Bastion is the game we're going to go with. I remember I started Bastion, I played it for maybe an hour or so, enjoyed it, and then I think I picked up Fallout New Vegas or something, and then just played that a bunch, and never actually got back to Bastion. I was reminded of it maybe back in 2019, and was going to play it again. And then straight up forgot. I think that might have been around the time I lost my job. Yeah, so everything kind of got scrambled. So that probably explains why I never got Bastion. So, that means we're going to play a little bit of Bastion. It does have controller support, which is great. If it didn't, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. I could have actually... And the funny thing is, and this is something that makes me feel old, is that despite the fact I think I maybe bought this game in 2012, 2013, well, hell, even if it did come out that year, it, as much as I hate to admit it, probably fits the criteria for a retro game these days, because I know a lot of people, they specifically say that, like, they'll assume that maybe about a decade or so, if something gets past a decade old, then it can be considered retro if we're talking about video games. Which means Bastion certainly counts, because I think that game came out in 2011. So, well, hell, I can look up exactly when. Bastion was released on Steam August 16th of 2011. So this coming August, that means it's going to be 15. It's going to hit 15 years old at that point. Bastion is going to be pretty close to graduating high school. Oh god, and that actually, yeah, that makes me feel really old, because most of my nieces and nephews were born by this point, meaning they're all, oh god. Oh god, okay. So anyway, let's stop thinking about my own ever-dwindling mortality and play this, shall we?